Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
Erskine Caldwell emerged as a significant voice in American literature during the tumultuous years of the Great Depression, offering a stark and often unsettling portrayal of the rural South. His novels and short stories, characterized by unflinching realism, grotesque humor, and a deep sense of social injustice, capture the plight of impoverished sharecroppers and the degradation of human life under conditions of extreme economic hardship. Tobacco Road *, published in 1932, and God's Little Acre *, published in 1933, stand as quintessential examples of Caldwell's distinctive Southern Gothic style and remain among his most enduring and controversial works. Caldwell's literary vision was forged in the crucible of his early experiences growing up in the South. Born in 1903 in White Oak, Georgia, his father, Erskine Caldwell, was a Presbyterian minister who served various rural congregations throughout the region. This itinerant existence exposed the young Caldwell to the realities of poverty, racial inequality, and the struggles of marginalized communities. His mother, Caroline Bell Caldwell, a teacher, instilled in him a deep appreciation for education and social justice. Caldwell's upbringing differed markedly from the stereotypical image of the Southern aristocracy. He witnessed firsthand the lives of those dispossessed by the economic and social systems of the time. These formative experiences provided a rich source of material for his later writing, shaping his commitment to depicting the lives of the disinherited with unflinching honesty. The populist movement, with its focus on agrarian reform and the rights of the common people, also exerted an influence on Caldwell's developing worldview. The South, during his youth, was a region grappling with the legacy of the Civil War, the rise of industrial capitalism, and the persistent problems of poverty and racial discrimination. Populist leaders challenged the established order, advocating for policies that would benefit farmers and working-class citizens. Caldwell absorbed the spirit of rebellion and the critique of economic inequality that characterized the populist movement. This influence is evident in his portrayal of characters victimized by forces beyond their control and his critique of the social structures that perpetuated their suffering. Caldwell's early literary efforts reflected his desire to break with traditional Southern Romanticism and to depict the region as he saw it, without sentimentality or idealization. He began his writing career in the 1920s, publishing short stories in small literary magazines. These early works explored themes of poverty, violence, and sexual exploitation, often employing a stark, minimalist style that contrasted sharply with the ornate prose prevalent in much Southern literature of the time. His first novels, including Poor Fool *1930 and Bastard *1929, experimented with narrative techniques and explored the darker aspects of human nature. While these works did not achieve widespread commercial success, they established Caldwell as a writer willing to confront uncomfortable truths and to challenge conventional literary norms. Tobacco Road catapulted Caldwell to national prominence, albeit amid considerable controversy. The novel tells the story of the Lester family, a group of impoverished white sharecroppers eking out a desperate existence on a worn-out cotton farm in rural Georgia. Lester, the patriarch, is a man consumed by inertia and a longing for the past, unable to adapt to the changing economic realities of the South. His family members are equally degraded, driven by hunger, lust, and a desperate search for survival. The novel depicts their lives with unflinching realism, exposing the squalor, ignorance, and moral decay that characterized their existence. Tobacco Road sparked immediate outrage among some readers and critics, who accused Caldwell of sensationalism, caricature, and a distorted portrayal of the South. They argued that his depiction of the Lesters was demeaning, and that it reinforced negative stereotypes about rural Southerners. Others, however, praised the novel for its social commentary and its unflinching depiction of poverty. This saw Caldwell's work as a powerful indictment of the economic system that had created such conditions and as a call for social reform. The novel's success led to a long-running Broadway adaptation, which further amplified its impact and controversy. God's Little Acre * continued Caldwell's exploration of poverty, sexual obsession, and religious hypocrisy in the South. The novel centers on Ty Walwin, a Georgia farmer who is convinced that there's gold buried on his land. He spends years digging futile holes, neglecting his farm and his family in his relentless pursuit of wealth. The novel also explores the sexual tensions within the Walwin family and the hypocrisy of religious institutions in the face of widespread suffering. Similar to Tobacco Road God's Little Acre * generated both acclaim and condemnation. Some critics lauded Caldwell's unflinching portrayal of human degradation and his critique of societal values. Others found the novel to be exploitative and sensationalistic, arguing that it pandered to prurient interests and misrepresented the realities of Southern life. The debates surrounding Tobacco Road * and God's Little Acre * reflected the broader intellectual climate of the 1930s, a period marked by economic hardship, social unrest, and a growing awareness of the inequalities that plagued American society. The rise of social realism in American literature during the 1930s provided a context for Caldwell's work. Writers like John Steinbeck, with The Grapes of Wrath *, and James Agee, with Let Us Now Praise Famous Men *, sought to depict the lives of ordinary people struggling against economic hardship and social injustice. These writers employed a variety of techniques, including documentary realism, proletarian literature, and social protest, to expose the realities of poverty, exploitation, and inequality. Caldwell's work aligned with this broader movement, offering a Southern perspective on the social and economic problems of the era. Figures such as Theodore Dreiser, known for his unflinching portrayals of social issues in novels like *and American Tragedy *, and Sherwood Anderson, who explored the psychological complexities of small-town life in Winesburg, Ohio paved the way for Caldwell's stark realism. Their influence can be seen in Caldwell's willingness to depict the darker aspects of human nature and to challenge conventional social norms. Caldwell, in turn, influenced later writers who sought to depict the complexities of the South, even those who disagreed with his interpretations. The stark landscapes and desperate lives etched by Erskine Caldwell into the American literary consciousness ignited fierce debate, particularly concerning his portrayal of the South. Accusations of caricature and sensationalism arose frequently, challenging the authenticity and purpose of his narratives. Caldwell steadfastly maintained that his work reflected a realistic, albeit unflinching, depiction of the social and economic conditions he directly observed in the region. This defense formed the crux of a larger argument about the responsibility of art to confront uncomfortable truths, particularly those related to poverty, race, and class. Critics who view Caldwell's work as exploitative often pointed to the seemingly grotesque and exaggerated nature of his characters and situations. They argued that novels, such as Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre while undeniably impactful, reduced the complexities of Southern life to a series of shocking and often dehumanizing scenes. Judah Lester, the patriarch of the impoverished family in Tobacco Road became a focal point of this criticism. His laziness, ignorance, and near-animalistic behavior were seen by some as perpetuating harmful stereotypes about poor white Southerners. Similarly, the characters in God's Little Acre with their obsessive pursuit of buried treasure and their casual disregard for human life, were interpreted as grotesque exaggerations that lacked genuine human depth. The critics questioned whether Caldwell's artistic choices served to illuminate social problems or to merely titillate readers with sensationalized depictions of depravity. Conversely, defenders of Caldwell's work argued that his unflinching portrayal of the South served as a powerful form of social protest. They contended that the seemingly exaggerated characters and situations were, in fact, rooted in the harsh realities of poverty, ignorance, and exploitation that plagued the region. These proponents emphasized the historical context in which Caldwell wrote, a time when the South was grappling with the legacy of slavery, the decline of agriculture, and the rise of industrial capitalism. They argued that Caldwell's novels exposed the systemic injustices that trapped individuals and communities in cycles of poverty and despair. The grotesque elements, they asserted, were not intended to be realistic in a literal sense, but rather to serve as a metaphorical representation of the dehumanizing effects of poverty and oppression. The characters' flaws and failings, in this view, reflected the broader societal failures that contributed to their plight. The historical context of these debates further illuminates the complexities of Caldwell's reception. The prevailing attitudes towards poverty, race, and class in the American South were deeply ingrained in a history of inequality and social stratification. The legacy of slavery continued to shape racial dynamics, while economic disparities between landowners and tenant farmers created a system of exploitation that perpetuated poverty. Caldwell's work challenged these deeply entrenched social hierarchies, exposing the hypocrisy and injustice that underpinned them. His unflinching depictions of racial prejudice and economic exploitation were particularly controversial, as they directly confronted the dominant narratives of Southern society. The impact of Caldwell's work on public perceptions of the South proves undeniable. His novels, plays, and short stories brought the realities of Southern poverty and social injustice to a national audience, challenging the romanticized and often idealized image of the region that prevailed in popular culture. Tobacco Road in particular, became a cultural phenomenon, both celebrated and condemned for its stark depiction of rural poverty. The play adaptation of the novel ran for a record-breaking 7 years on Broadway, exposing millions of Americans to Caldwell's vision of the South. While some viewers were undoubtedly drawn to the sensational elements of the story, others were moved by its portrayal of human suffering and its critique of social inequality. Caldwell's work contributed significantly to the broader social and political discourse of the era. His novels sparked public discussions about poverty, race, and class, prompting calls for social and economic reform. He aligned himself with the broader movement of social realism in American literature, joining writers who sought to expose the harsh realities of industrial capitalism and its impact on ordinary people. Figures like John Steinbeck, whose novel The Grapes of Wrath depicted the plight of migrant workers during the Great Depression, shared Caldwell's commitment to social justice and his willingness to challenge the status quo. The influence of muckraking journalism and documentary photography on Caldwell's style and subject matter cannot be overstated. Muckraking journalists such as Upton Sinclair, whose novel The Jungle exposed the unsanitary conditions of the meatpacking industry, pioneered a style of investigative reporting that sought to expose corruption and social injustice. Documentary photographers such as Dorothy Erlange, whose iconic images of migrant workers capture the human cost of the Great Depression, provided visual evidence of the suffering and hardship that Caldwell depicted in his fiction. Caldwell drew inspiration from these sources, employing a similar style of unflinching realism to portray the lives of poor white Southerners. He sought to expose the social and economic forces that shape their lives, much like the muckrakers and documentary photographers sought to expose the forces that shape the lives of the urban poor and the rural dispossessed. Specific scenes and characters from Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre were interpreted differently by various critics, reflecting the diverse perspectives and ideological biases that shaped their readings of Caldwell's work. For example, the scene in Tobacco Road where Dude Lester accidentally kills his own mother while driving a new car was interpreted by some as a grotesque and sensationalistic depiction of rural ignorance and depravity. Others, however, saw it as a symbolic representation of the destructive forces of modernization and the loss of traditional values. Similarly, the character of Ty Walden in God's Little Acre with his obsessive pursuit of buried treasure and his casual disregard for the lives of his workers, was interpreted by some as a caricature of Southern greed and exploitation. Others, however, saw him as a more complex and ambiguous figure, driven by a desperate desire to escape poverty and improve the lives of his family. The debates surrounding Caldwell's portrayal of the South continue to resonate today, raising important questions about the role of art in addressing social issues, the responsibility of artists to represent marginalized communities with sensitivity and accuracy, and the enduring power of stereotypes to shape public perceptions. While some critics continue to question the authenticity and purpose of his work, others maintain that his novels remain a powerful and important contribution to American literature, offering a valuable perspective on the complexities of Southern history and culture. His work, whether celebrated or condemned, undoubtedly left an indelible mark on the literary landscape, forcing readers to confront uncomfortable truths about poverty, race, and class in the American South. He directly influenced the way subsequent generations approached narratives of social realism. Caldwell's fiction is characterized by a distinctive blend of humor and the grotesque elements he wielded to expose the absurdity and inhumanity pervading the social and economic structures of the South. These techniques are not merely decorative flourishes, they serve as integral components of his critique, amplifying the stark realities of poverty and exploitation that define his fictional world. Grotesque characters and situations abound, each contributing to a broader commentary on the distorted values and systemic injustices of Southern society. The function of the grotesque in Caldwell's work extends beyond shock value. Instead, it serves to heighten the reader's awareness of the dehumanizing effects of poverty and social inequality. Characters are often rendered in exaggerated terms, their physical and moral deformities mirroring the decay and corruption of the society around them. This exaggeration, however, is not arbitrary. It is a deliberate strategy to underscore the ways in which individuals are warped and diminished by the oppressive forces of their environment. Consider, for example, the characters in Tobacco Road Jeter Lester, the patriarch of a family mired in abject poverty, is depicted as a man consumed by his immediate needs, his intellect and moral compass dulled by hunger and desperation. His actions, often driven by a primal urge to survive, are frequently absurd and even repulsive. Yet, through this grotesque portrayal, Caldwell exposes the brutal realities of sharecropping and the devastating impact of economic hardship on human dignity. Sister Bessie Rice, with her religious fervor and unconventional desires, adds another layer of grotesque humor. Her pursuit of Dude Lester, driven by a mix of spiritual longing and sexual frustration, creates both comedic and unsettling moments. These characters, while exaggerated, reflect the desperation and moral compromises that arise from extreme poverty. Similarly, God's Little Acre features characters whose obsessions and eccentricities border on the bizarre. Ty Baldwin, the protagonist, is consumed by a relentless and ultimately futile search for gold on his land. His single-minded pursuit, which leads him to desecrate his farm and neglect his family, exemplifies the destructive power of greed and the irrationality of human behavior. The grotesque situations in which these characters find themselves, such as the chaotic and often violent confrontations between family members, further underscore the breakdown of social order and the erosion of traditional values. Caldwell's use of humor is inextricably linked to his deployment of the grotesque. The humor is often dark and ironic, arising from the incongruity between the characters' aspirations and their circumstances. It is a humor that simultaneously entertains and provokes, inviting the reader to laugh at the absurdity of the situation while also prompting reflection on the underlying social injustices. He masterfully employs dark humor to expose the ludicrous nature of ingrained prejudices and the devastating consequences of economic disparity. The influence of Southern folk humor and tall tales is evident in Caldwell's style. His stories often feature exaggerated characters, outlandish situations, and a penchant for storytelling that mirrors the oral traditions of the rural South. This influence lends his work a certain authenticity and immediacy, grounding it in the lived experiences of the people he depicts. The tall tale tradition, with its emphasis on hyperbole and exaggeration, provides a framework for Caldwell to amplify the absurdities of Southern life, creating characters and situations that are both comical and unsettling. Specific examples in Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre illustrate how humor and the grotesque are interwoven to achieve Caldwell's satirical aims. In Tobacco Road the scene where Dude Lester accidentally runs over his grandmother with his new car is a prime example of grotesque humor. The incident is both tragic and absurd, highlighting the family's ineptitude and the senselessness of their existence. Similarly, the numerous failed attempts to plant crops, often resulting in comical mishaps and further impoverishment, underscore the futility of their efforts and the systemic barriers they face. In God's Little Acre the constant digging for gold, which yields only frustration and destruction, is a recurring source of dark humor. Ty Baldwin's unwavering belief in the existence of gold, despite all evidence to the contrary, becomes increasingly absurd as the story progresses. His actions, driven by greed and delusion, have devastating consequences for his family and community, further highlighting the destructive nature of unchecked ambition. The scene where Will, one of Ty's sons, attempts to spark a labor revolt and is ultimately killed is another example of the grotesque. The incident exposes the violence and exploitation inherent in the Southern economic system, while also underscoring the futility of resistance in the face of overwhelming power. The potential for Caldwell's use of humor and the grotesque to be interpreted as either satirical or exploitative has been a subject of ongoing debate. Some critics argue that his depictions of Southern poverty and ignorance reinforce negative stereotypes and perpetuate harmful prejudices. They contend that his characters are often caricatures, lacking the depth and complexity necessary to elicit empathy. Others maintain that his work is a powerful satire, exposing the hypocrisy and injustice of Southern society with unflinching honesty. They argue that his exaggerated characters and situations are not meant to be taken literally, but rather as symbolic representations of the broader social and economic forces at play. Caldwell's grotesque style shares similarities with other Southern writers, such as Flannery O'Connor and William Faulkner, but also exhibits key differences. Like Caldwell, O'Connor employed grotesque characters and situations to explore themes of sin, redemption, and the nature of good and evil. However, O'Connor's work often possesses a stronger religious dimension, with her characters frequently grappling with questions of faith and morality. Faulkner, known for his complex narratives and stream of consciousness style, also utilized the grotesque to depict the decay and corruption of the Southern aristocracy. However, Faulkner's work often delves deeper into the psychological motivations of his characters, exploring the complexities of their inner lives. Caldwell, in contrast, tends to focus more on the external forces shaping his characters' behavior, emphasizing the social and economic conditions that contribute to their degradation. While O'Connor's characters often seek spiritual redemption and Faulkner's grapple with the burden of history, Caldwell's characters are primarily driven by the basic need to survive. Their actions, however grotesque, are often a direct response to the pressures of poverty and exploitation. This emphasis on material conditions distinguishes Caldwell's work from that of his Southern contemporaries, grounding his grotesque vision in the stark realities of the Depression-era South. The humor and grotesque elements in Caldwell's fiction serve as a powerful lens through which to examine the social and economic injustices of the American South. By exaggerating the absurdities of Southern life, it forces readers to confront uncomfortable truths about poverty, race, and class. While his work has been criticized for perpetuating stereotypes, it also offers a valuable perspective on the dehumanizing effects of systemic inequality. Caldwell's legacy lies in his willingness to expose the grotesque realities of a society struggling to reconcile its past with its present, leaving an enduring mark on American literature and inspiring subsequent writers to confront similar themes. The grotesque realities Caldwell exposed found a ready audience within the burgeoning left-wing literary movements of the 1930s. His unflinching portrayal of poverty and exploitation resonated with writers and intellectuals who sought to use literature as a tool for social change. Caldwell's engagement with the Communist Party and related organizations provided him with a platform to amplify his message and connect with a wider audience of socially conscious readers. Caldwell actively participated in organizations such as the League of American Writers, a group founded in 1935 with the explicit goal of promoting social justice through literature. The League brought together writers from diverse backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to fighting fascism and advocating for the rights of workers and the oppressed. Caldwell's involvement in the League provided him with opportunities to collaborate with other prominent left-wing writers, participate in conferences and rallies, and contribute to publications that promoted socialist ideals. Writers such as Langston Hughes and Richard Wright, who explored themes of racial injustice and economic inequality in their work, were among Caldwell's contemporaries in the League. His association with these figures solidified his reputation as a socially engaged writer and aligned him with a broader movement for social change. Beyond his involvement with the League of American Writers, Caldwell contributed to various left-wing publications, including The New Masses and The Daily Worker. These publications provided a platform for writers to express their political views and critique the social and economic injustices of capitalism. Caldwell's contributions to these publications often took the form of short stories, essays, and reportage that documented the lives of working-class people and exposed the harsh realities of poverty and exploitation. His work in these publications helped to shape the discourse of the left-wing literary movement and solidify his position as a leading voice of social protest. The influence of figures like Mike Gold, a prominent writer and editor associated with The Daily Worker, is evident in Caldwell's focus on proletarian themes and his commitment to using literature as a weapon in class struggle. The extent to which Caldwell's work can be considered proletarian literature or social realism is a subject of ongoing debate. Proletarian literature, as a genre, typically focuses on the lives and experiences of working-class people, often with the explicit aim of promoting socialist or communist ideals. Social realism, on the other hand, seeks to depict the social realities of a particular time and place, often with a critical perspective on existing power structures. Caldwell's work certainly incorporates elements of both proletarian literature and social realism, but it also transcends these categories in important ways. While he focuses on the lives of poor farmers and working-class people in the South, his portrayal of these characters is often infused with a sense of the grotesque and the absurd, which sets it apart from more straightforward examples of proletarian literature or social realism. Writers like Max and Gorky, whose work celebrated the heroism and resilience of the working class, contrast with Caldwell's more ambivalent and often satirical portrayal of Southern laborers. The influence of Marxist ideology on Caldwell's portrayal of class conflict and economic exploitation is undeniable. His works often depict the stark inequalities of Southern society, where wealthy landowners exploit poor farmers and industrial workers for their own gain. Caldwell's characters are often trapped in cycles of poverty and oppression, with little hope of escaping their circumstances. This bleak portrayal of class relations reflects a Marxist understanding of capitalism as a system that inherently generates inequality and exploitation. The theories of Karl Marx, particularly his analysis of class struggle and the alienation of labor, provide a framework for understanding Caldwell's depiction of Southern society. The historical context of the Communist Party's activities in the South provides further insight into Caldwell's political affiliations. During the 1930s, the Communist Party actively sought to organize sharecroppers and industrial workers in the South, with the goal of challenging the existing power structures and promoting economic justice. These efforts met with resistance from landowners and local authorities, who often used violence and intimidation to suppress the labor movement. Caldwell's involvement with the Communist Party aligned in with these efforts to organize and empower working-class people in the South. The activism of figures like Harry Haywood, a leading African-American communist who worked to organize black sharecroppers in the South, reflects the historical context in which Caldwell's political views were formed. The debates within the left-wing literary community regarding the role of art in social change also shaped Caldwell's work. Some writers and intellectuals argue that art should serve as a direct instrument of propaganda, promoting specific political messages and advocating for revolutionary change. Others believed that art should maintain a degree of autonomy, focusing on aesthetic values and exploring complex human experiences rather than simply serving as a mouthpiece for political ideology. Caldwell's work reflects a tension between these two perspectives. While he clearly sympathized with the goals of the left-wing movement, he also resisted the temptation to reduce his art to mere propaganda. His grotesque and often ambiguous portrayals of Southern life suggest a more nuanced and complex understanding of social change. The ideas of Leon Trotsky, who advocated for a more independent and experimental approach to art within the socialist movement, resonate with Caldwell's reluctance to embrace a purely propagandistic style. Caldwell's political affiliations inevitably influenced the reception of his work during the Cold War era. His association with the Communist Party led to increased scrutiny and criticism from conservative commentators. Some critics accused him of being a communist sympathizer and dismissed his work as propaganda. Despite these criticisms, Caldwell's work continued to attract a wide readership, both in the United States and abroad. His unflinching portrayal of poverty and social injustice resonated with readers who were concerned about the plight of the marginalized and oppressed. The enduring popularity of his novels, such as Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre suggests that his work transcends the political debates of his time and continues to offer valuable insights into the human condition. The legacy of writers like Upton Sinclair, whose muckraking journalism exposed the abuses of the meatpacking industry, foreshadow the controversies that Caldwell would later face due to his own socially critical work. His focus remained on social realism and the lives of the working class, even as his political affiliations brought him under fire. Caldwell's enduring literary presence stems from his capacity to ignite visceral reactions, prompting readers to confront uncomfortable truths about American society. His unflinching depictions of destitution, exploitation, and moral decay continue to provoke debate and introspection, solidifying his position as a significant, albeit controversial, voice in American literature. The ethical dimensions of his work, particularly his portrayal of the rural South, remain a subject of intense scrutiny. Questions persist regarding whether his narratives serve as empathetic portrayals of human suffering or exploitative caricatures that perpetuate harmful stereotypes. His literary impact is undeniable, even as assessments of his artistic merit fluctuate. The accessibility of his prose, combined with the raw emotional power of his stories, has secured him a lasting readership. Tobacco Road with its stark depiction of rural poverty, became a cultural touchstone, influencing subsequent generations of writers and filmmakers who sought to explore similar themes. Erskine's work echoes the influence of writers like William Faulkner, whose exploration of the South's complex history and social dynamics provided a foundation for Caldwell's own investigations. Faulkner's use of regional dialect and his focus on the lives of marginalized communities resonated with Caldwell, shaping his narrative style and thematic concerns. The question of Caldwell's empathy versus exploitation is complex. Some scholars argue that his characters, often portrayed as grotesque and morally compromised, lack the depth and complexity necessary to elicit genuine compassion. They contend that his focus on the sensational and the bizarre undermines any potential for meaningful social commentary. Other critics, however, maintain that Caldwell's unflinching portrayal of human degradation serves as a powerful indictment of the social and economic forces that perpetuate poverty and inequality. They argue that his characters, despite their flaws, embody a resilience and a capacity for survival that is ultimately inspiring. His work certainly influenced later writers such as Flannery O'Connor, whose grotesque characters and dark humor reflect Caldwell's influence. O'Connor's exploration of religious fanaticism and moral ambiguity in the South builds upon the foundation laid by Caldwell, pushing the boundaries of Southern literature in new and unsettling directions. The influence is evident in O'Connor's short stories, which often feature characters who are both repulsive and strangely compelling, embodying the contradictions and complexities of the human condition. The enduring appeal of Caldwell's work lies, in part, in its ability to tap into a deep vein of anxiety and unease within the American psyche. His stories expose the dark underbelly of the American dream, revealing the stark realities of poverty, inequality, and social injustice that often go unacknowledged. His characters, often trapped in cycles of poverty and despair, represent a challenge to the prevailing narratives of progress and prosperity. The Great Depression cast a long shadow over American literature, shaping the themes and concerns of writers for decades to come. Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre stand as powerful testaments to the human cost of economic hardship and social upheaval. These novels capture the desperation, the resilience, and the moral compromises that characterized life during this tumultuous period. The influence of the Depression is evident in Caldwell's focus on the lives of the dispossessed and the marginalized, his unflinching portrayal of poverty and exploitation, and his exploration of the psychological toll of economic insecurity. The legacy of the Great Depression can be seen in the works of later writers such as John Steinbeck, whose The Grapes of Wrath similarly depicts the struggles of migrant workers during the Dust Bowl era. Steinbeck's novel, like Caldwell's, offers a searing critique of social and economic inequality, highlighting the human cost of unchecked capitalism and the importance of collective action. The shared concern with the plight of the working class and the exploration of themes of displacement, poverty, and resilience demonstrate the enduring influence of the Depression on American literature. Caldwell's impact extends beyond the realm of literature, influencing the way Americans perceive the rural South. His novels challenge the romanticized image of the region, exposing the harsh realities of poverty, racism, and social injustice that were often ignored or downplayed. His work contributed to a growing awareness of the region's complex history and its ongoing struggles with issues of inequality and discrimination. His influence can be seen in documentaries and films that explore the social and economic conditions of the rural South, such as those by documentarian Per Lawrence, whose film The Plow That Broke the Plains examined the ecological disaster of the Dust Bowl, a crisis that paralleled the agricultural struggles Caldwell depicted in his fiction. Lawrence's unflinching portrayal of environmental degradation and human suffering resonated with Caldwell's own concerns, reflecting a shared commitment to exposing the harsh realities of rural life. However, Caldwell's portrayal of the South has also been criticized for perpetuating stereotypes and reinforcing negative perceptions of the region. Some scholars argue that his characters, often depicted as ignorant, lazy, and morally depraved, contribute to a distorted and dehumanizing image of Southern people. They contend that his focus on the sensational and the grotesque overshadows the region's rich cultural heritage and its complex social dynamics. The debate over Caldwell's portrayal of the South reflects a broader discussion about the ethics of representation and the responsibility of artists to portray marginalized communities with sensitivity and respect. The question of whether his work ultimately serves to empower or exploit the people he depicts remains a subject of ongoing debate. Ultimately, Caldwell's place in the American literary canon is complex and contested. His work is both celebrated and condemned, praised for its unflinching honesty and criticized for its potential to perpetuate harmful stereotypes. His novels continue to provoke, challenge, and disturb, forcing readers to confront uncomfortable truths about American society and the human condition. The contradictory nature of his work is perhaps its most enduring quality. His stories are filled with both beauty and ugliness, hope and despair, compassion and cruelty. His characters are both victims and perpetrators, trapped in cycles of poverty and violence that seem impossible to escape. This complexity reflects the contradictions and complexities of the human experience itself, making Caldwell's work as relevant today as it was when it was first published. His legacy is further solidified by the numerous adaptations of his works for stage and screen. Tobacco Road in particular, achieved remarkable success as a play, running for an unprecedented 7 years on Broadway. This adaptation brought Caldwell's vision of rural poverty to a wider audience, further cementing his place in American popular culture. The play's success also highlights the enduring appeal of Caldwell's stories, their ability to resonate with audiences across different generations and backgrounds. The impact of these adaptations can be seen in the subsequent wave of plays and films that explored similar themes of poverty, social injustice, and human degradation. Playwrights such as Tennessee Williams, whose *A Streetcar Named Desire* explored the decline of the Southern aristocracy and the struggles of marginalized individuals, built upon the foundation laid by Caldwell, pushing the boundaries of American theater in new and provocative directions. Williams's use of symbolism, his exploration of psychological themes, and his unflinching portrayal of human suffering reflect Caldwell's influence, demonstrating the enduring impact of his work on the American stage. Erskine Caldwell's work, therefore, remains a powerful and unsettling mirror reflecting the complexities and contradictions of American society. His unflinching portrayal of poverty, social injustice, and human degradation continues to resonate, ensuring his place as a significant, if controversial, figure in American literature.
We really appreciate you tuning into this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.